Welcome to the Boss Lady Coaching Podcast. Megan Stith and I are your hosts, and my name is Holly Sexton. And in the next few minutes, we're going to refresh you, we're going to energize you, and we're going to share new books with you and introduce you to some new dynamic locals. So we're happy to welcome back Boss Lady Selena Hudson. Hi, Selena.
Hi, Holly. Hi, Megan.
Selena is returning, and if you have not heard her podcast, it's on iTunes, and it's also on, there's a video of hers on our Facebook page, and it is also on our SoundCloud account too, at Boss Lady Coaching. So check out Selena's Boss Lady Coaching podcast episode. And we're also going to talk to her friend that she brought along for the ride today. Elaire Moore is with us. Elaire's book, The Truth Behind My Smile, is out on Amazon. So welcome, Elaire. It's so good to meet you for the first time.
It's good to meet you too. Thank you, Holly and Megan, for inviting me. And thanks, Selena, for being here.
Yay.
Selena, you are such a great connector. You know everyone, and you're great at putting people together when they might be able to accomplish goals together. So I would love to hear about you and Elaire meet. What's your story?
Well, our story is we met one day, a friend of Elaire's and a friend of mine, it was a mutual friend. She invited me to be on their show. They had a similar type podcast show. And we did an interview. We hit it off that day. We became friends. We exchanged cards. And she's a hairstylist. And I started going to her salon to get my hair done. And the rest is history.
Mm-hmm.
So, Elaire, if this were a dating show, would you agree that Selena got that right?
Absolutely, 100%. Definitely got it right.
Yeah.
So I'm sure, Elaire, now you see Selena everywhere, and Megan made the comment early on that we do see Selena everywhere, but she's doing it safely, which is great.
Yes.
So, thank you so much. And if you're watching this and you're not familiar with Boss Lady Coaching Podcast, this is what we do. We network and we find awesome boss ladies doing inspiring things, and we talk about it and bring it to the forefront. And so, Selena, I love that you felt so comfortable about referring Elaire to us. That made me feel really good.
Absolutely.
I'm glad you're here today.
Yes. As soon as I started reading the book, I knew. Oh, I'm sorry. Could you?
No, you're fine. You said you as soon as you started reading the book?
Yes. As soon as I started reading her book, I knew that she needed to be on your show. I mean, probably the first chapter. I said, oh, I need to contact Holly and Megan about this because she's a boss lady.
Well, Elaire, I can't wait to check out your book, and it's on Amazon, The Truth Behind My Smile. So what inspired you to go there, to do the work and to crank out this inspiring book?
Well, because of my life story and the things that I went through, I knew I was going to write a book, but I just didn't have the courage to do so, nor did I have the mental space to go back to think about everything that happened or even revisit that place. But I knew it had to be told because so many women and children go through what I went through, and I came out great. I'm not a product of my environment, nor am I a product of the pain and agony that I went through. So if I can do it, I know there's somebody else out there that will be able to I don't want to say get past it because you never do, but you can deal with it. So it was just my time to tell the story so people can start the healing process.
So would you say that this is like you learned a lot about trauma responses, maybe without even knowing about trauma care?
I would have to say yes. In the process of me writing this book, it was some things that I had suppressed that I had no idea. And I'm going to say one little thing without really going into it, the grocery store. I literally hate going to the grocery store unless I necessarily have to. And it didn't come out until I was writing my book. So if you want to know what that is, you have to read the book.
That's a great tease. I appreciate that. Megan, can you share your experience writing several chapters that you've written for the women's series out of Louisville, and how you can relate that to what Elaire was just talking about?
Sure. I think one of the challenges is just making space for that process in your life, because you've got work, you've got family, you've got all these other obligations, and how to prioritize and make telling that story part of your day, whether that's writing a couple words a day or a page a day or more than that. So Alaire, I would love to hear, how did you work this writing process? Like, what did that process look like for you? Was it I'm going to sit down and I'm not coming up until I've got this figured out, or did it take longer to put this story together?
Actually, it did. I actually started the process in March of 2020, but COVID hit. I have a hair salon. I was coming out with my product line, and I was trying to balance all of that. And I reached out to a young lady to help me. She wanted me to do it in 2 weeks, and it couldn't be done in 2 weeks. So I slacked off until November, almost November. And I said, okay, this is my deadline. And I told people that was close to me to hold me accountable. And I actually wrote the book in 1 weekend, and I finished maybe a couple of hours before my deadline, which was November 1st.
That is incredible. Talk about motivation to get
Yes.
And not only are you writing, but like you said, you're also dredging up some painful things. You're dredging up a lot of feelings. You're dredging up a lot of life learning as well. So I'm sure it was a cathartic process, but at the same time, a deeply emotional process. Am I projecting, or is that really how it went down?
Well, because I wasn't mentally prepared to write the book, because I knew I had to go back. So I literally prayed to God and asked God to protect my heart, protect my mind, and to keep me sane, but also let me give my my readers, let them feel me in that time. So when I'm writing my book, I want them to be put in every single situation that I was in, but I had to do it from a reader's point of view and not an author's point of view. So that's how I was able to get through it. And I think the only time that I really broke down was the grocery store, because I literally blocked that out. And I had to regain myself. And when I found myself slipping, I just stopped for a minute, got myself back together, and I went right back in there.
Would you imagine that there would be any triggers in this book that someone needs to be aware of?
Absolutely. It's triggers throughout the whole entire book. The very first page, the very first paragraph is triggers. So I just warn my readers to be careful, because it's very sad, but I put highlights of God, or my faith, to let people know, even though we can't touch him or we can't feel him, we know that something is there, the universe, or however people want to say it, something is there to keep you. And that's how I was able to deal with it. So, but just to put the caption out there, just tread lightly. And if you have to take a moment, but it's light at the end of the tunnel after you finish reading the book.
Mm-hmm. And as a survivor of trauma, I can share something I've learned about that, particularly with a higher power connection, is a book like yours. And instead of seeing it as something that can offend the spirit or the mind, or bring up things that may cause you to experience trauma again, I found that taking notes, so like if someone wanted to read your book and take notes as they're reading it in relation to what you learned and what you overcame. So it's a story of hope and survivorship, as opposed to being something that would cause a person to experience those feelings all over again, or go through a PTSD type of situation. And I found through that writing exercise while you're reading and taking notes, it helps bring your power back, so to speak. Does that make sense?
It makes a lot of sense. I think that would be great as well. And the reason why I say that, and I agree with you 100%, because sometimes when you read something, your mind go into a place, or you may want to ask a question, or it may bring you back to a situation to where you can tie the two in together, to where that will help. So it won't be such a big force, or you just basically basically flatline within your mental space to where you're just, you're sobbing and you're back in this place where you thought that you recovered from, but you triggered because of something. And it can be something as simple as a touch or maybe a word that may have been said. So having a piece of paper to write it down, taking a moment, that's amazing. That would be great. Absolutely.
Yeah, it's just a tool that I found really helpful. And again, what it does is it helps the reader to take the power back from the situation or whatever media a person is experiencing.
Yes.
When it may trigger them or cause them to feel those traumatic feelings again. So, and again, that is a way that this book, The Truth Behind My Smile, can be very powerful for survivors. Selena, would you recommend this book for a book club?
I would, Holly, because like you said, it's healing. It's this book is a story of triumph and overcoming. And I just feel like with Alaire, with me knowing her now and then reading the book, I'm like, okay. When I started reading it, I was very sad. And I told her this. I said, I was very sad. I had to put it down for 2 weeks and pick it back up just to get to chapter 3. Because I know her now. And so I'm like, you're my friend. I love you. If I didn't know her, maybe I would have been able to read the book because it's a very easy read. I could have read it all in one sitting, but just knowing her and how successful she is and how loving she is and all of that, it broke my heart to read the book. So I do recommend that everyone read it. I feel like if you've been through anything in your life, and a lot of women have, reading this book will help you. You'll learn how to get through some tough times. So.
Thanks for sharing that, Selena. And I'll read some of the reviews. Apparently, this is a constant page turner, so it keeps people riveted. And they talk about how your strength of character, Alaire, and how you're what's the word when someone doesn't quit? You have stick-to-itiveness. So that wasn't in the reviews, but I see the stick-to-itiveness there. And Megan, what have you heard from Alaire and from Selena that would drive you back to the identity of what Boss Lady Coaching is and what we're all about?
Well, the note I made for myself in a question I have for Alaire is about how we all have a story. And I think the women that are part of the Boss Lady Network, listen to the podcast, we're trying to figure out how to bring the world the best that we have to offer. And that is, to me, digging deep into our stories and what makes us special. And sometimes those are very raw and difficult emotions and experiences. And the fact that you were able to not just keep that to yourself, but to say, I have something that the world needs to hear and that is going to benefit others by you putting in all this work to write this book. So, Alaire, what advice would you give to women that have a story? Maybe there's in their minds they're saying this isn't worth writing about, or this isn't worth sharing, or this couldn't help anybody. How might you change their mindset based on what this book has done for you?
Well, the main thing that you said is everyone has a story. And I believe that wholeheartedly because we all do. Some people may not be strong enough to share their story until somebody else share their story. Just like Selena, she knows me, she sees my spirit, she sees my heart, and now she understands me more. And I feel if people would just allow themselves to feel and allow themselves to believe in themselves and know that this is only a temporary situation, anything is possible, and never allow somebody else to write the story for your life. You write the story for your own life. No matter how it look, no matter how bad it get. And if you can't do it, go to someone that has more strength or more courage to where they can uplift you and carry you until you're able to carry yourself. I'm one of those people, so I know all about that. And you have to really be careful mentally, because when you're dealing with trauma, if you're not careful mentally, you will have a complete meltdown. You won't be right. So however somebody is going to prepare, and for me, I went and spoke to my father spiritually, to where he had to heal me mentally so I can be prepared to go back down memory lane to deal with all the pain and agony and remember each and every situation very, very vividly, down to the smell. And you can't see smell. So I just tell people to no story is not important.
It's been scary. I just want to talk about fear for a minute, because I think, that's something that we as women especially, encounter a lot, is it will talk ourselves out of situations because because we're worried about what people will say. They, all the theys that will things. So how did you talk yourself through that fear? Because you make it sound, even though it must have been really difficult, like anybody could do it, which is great. There must have been those moments of, can I do this? And how did you keep yourself moving forward?
Well, the thing that kept me moving forward here, and also the thing that kept me moving forward in the past, again, I have to go to my spiritual realm because that's what I was taught. That was my safety net. So back then, as long as I call myself, somebody had to be sacrificed in order for someone to be saved. I was the sacrificial lamb. So as long as I was being sacrificed, the other person was being saved. So to go back to, and I just lost my train of thought. I'm so sorry. So fear, you cannot allow fear to captivate you. You can't. So whatever it is that's holding you back, just go ahead and do it. And it was days right before I pressed that button, December 31st, I was like, I can't do it. I don't know if I should, put my book out there because I'm going to be on display. I've always been an open book, but now my life is on display. That was my word that I kept putting on Facebook, but I knew I had that book. So what I did, I put watch my moves on Facebook. Nobody knew what that meant but me, but that was my way of preparing myself. So if someone has something, do what's best for you to get yourself prepared. If you can't do it by yourself, grab somebody else that you can, iron sharpens iron. So if I know that I'm weak, I know I can call Selena, and Selena will be right there, coaching me through it, if not doing it, to push me. It's like, Hilaire, you have to. And she's the reason why I'm doing what I'm doing right now.
Hilaire, or actually Selena, Hilaire is talking about your strength. Can you talk about her strength for a minute?
Yes, I can. But I also wanted to add something to the question that you asked previously about a book club. I do recommend, because this book opens you up, that maybe there's a therapist or a counselor there in the book club to close you. That's just a recommendation. But Hilaire's strength, I can't even imagine the strength that she had to have. I did not even know that Hilaire was writing a book. I didn't even know that. She would talk to me about something she's working on. I'm going to be missing for a couple of days. I didn't know, I had no idea. I'm so glad she didn't tell me. And I believe that it's something about when women share their truth, it gives us an unreal power. It gives you a power when you share your truth with others, because no one has power over you now. They, everything out is out in the open. No one can threaten to tell or anything like that. You're not even, she is so free right now that she makes me want to write a book because she is free. So her strength is unbelievable.
So Megan, in this round, I'll ask you the last question and we'll tell everybody how to get Hilaire's book. With the chapters that you've written, can you relate to what Hilaire is talking about? Like in the chapter that I read most recently, where you talk about imposter syndrome, how does that relate, in that experience of writing, relate to what Hilaire experienced?
Well, Hilaire, I can just see myself in the things that you are telling yourself, whether it's, can I do this, or what am I putting out there that people will know, and, could they judge? And it's hard to be vulnerable. It's hard, even just to share your opinions. And I can't imagine how difficult it must have been to make that decision to share such traumatic, raw, and personal experiences. But I think, the way you went about it with, telling others that you were committed to a project, but also not asking for everyone's opinion. You just decided you were going to do it and you made it happen. And I'm so proud to know you, and I can't wait to read the book. I'm definitely going to be logging on to get that. And I think it shows that anyone that has a story, that it can change lives, and you're doing that with your experience. And I hope others, maybe who are listening, Selena, now the problem with the Boss Lady Network is will be the bad influence who tells you to do all the stuff that you're not quite sure about. So I think you have an amazing story to share too, and should get to writing, but I guess I'm a little biased about that.
Yeah, Selena, you're next.
Oh, I'm next. Okay. But I'm so vocal. I probably would tell everyone and just ruin it for everybody. I mean, Hilaire is just great at keeping secrets. If you have something you don't want someone to know, tell Hilaire.
That makes for a good stylist, So, well, thank you all for being on with us today. And Hilaire, how can they get your book?
I do have it on Amazon. You can get the paperback on Amazon, and you can also read the ebook on Amazon as well through Amazon Prime, I believe. And if you don't have Amazon Prime, it's $5.99, and the paperback is $19.99.
Fantastic. And since you're out of Radcliffe, right?
Yes.
Will you sign it for someone safely?
Absolutely. So just a sneak peek, I do have a book signing coming up Tuesday, thanks to Selena, at the Fort Knox PX. And I'm also going to have a big one March 4th, thanks to Selena again.
We need Selena.
She is a boss lady.
We need her to be our agent.
There you go.
Well, the book is called The Truth Behind My Smile. And as Hilaire mentioned, there's 2 book signings as well. You can check out one on Fort Knox. Hilaire, you said that's Fort Knox PX?
Yes, it's Fort Knox, Kentucky, and it's going to be at the PX. Yes.
And what date and time is that?
It's going to be February 16th, which is this upcoming Tuesday, and it's going to be 10 until I only have 15 books because I've already sold 5, so I have to be quiet about the rest so I can have it there. And once they're sold, then that's it. But I will have more at the March 4th event, which is going to be really nice, by the way.
Fantastic. All right. So Amazon.com/truth behind my smile. You can pick up the book there. Thank you all. Happy Galentine's Day, celebrating all you gals.
Thank you.
If you're watching, please share with a friend and visit us on BeTheBossCoaching.com. We're also on Facebook and Instagram at Boss Lady Coaching, and iTunes and SoundCloud for free. You can listen to the Boss Lady Coaching podcasts. All right, everybody. See you later.
Bye.
Bye. Thanks.